Alright you guys, so today I'm going to be marinating some beef ribeye cap steak and some beef ribeye steak for today's event. You know, today happens to be Father's Day 2018 and we're going to get things rocking and rolling. So I'll give you a little overview of what it is I do first off to marinate my meat, and then I'll give you the process all along the day while I let this thing cook on the grill later on. So first I'm going to start off by tenderizing this meat just by simply poking some holes throughout the meat before I actually add some ingredients for my marinade. So I went ahead and I poked holes on both sides all the way through, on both sides of the cap as well as the standard ribeyes. Can't really tell, but there's holes poked all the way through there. And now I'm going to start my marinating process. Okay, so take a look here. We're going to put in some onion powder, some Montreal steak, some McCormick Montreal steak seasoning, soy sauce. All right, any kind of soy sauce will work fine. I get mine from Walmart. We got some Worcestershire sauce, and some extra virgin olive oil. Excellent for marinating your food, for marinating your steaks. Whether you're cooking this on the grill or cooking it on a cast iron skillet and then pan frying it, throwing it in the oven, whatever it may be, this is a fantastic way to marinate, getting it all very moist, very juicy all the way through the meat. So get your meat all set up in a nice Ziploc bag, and use your judgment. I'd say it's probably about 3 to 4, maybe 5 tablespoons of some olive oil. Probably the same amount for soy sauce. A little bit more soy sauce. Our Worcestershire sauce. Be generous with this stuff. This is excellent. This is a fantastic recipe to marinate your steaks with, so don't be shy with the soy sauce or the Worcestershire sauce. Onion powder. McCormick's or onion powder is what I use, but any onion powder would be fine. Be generous. And last, I'm going to put some of this steak seasoning in here. I'm going to open up the big hatch, and this has some nice peppery, salt and peppery grains in there. So this is going to be one heck of a marinade. After you get that bad boy all situated, you want to mix this up really nice. Get it mixed up real nice. All right, get that sauce all mixed in there pretty good. And afterwards, you want to let that thing sit for about a minimum of 3 hours. 4 to 5 is ideal if you could do this, if you have plenty of time to spare. However, it's not mandatory, of course. It just does give you some better results, right? You yield some better results with a longer marinade, with your meat being much more tender. Those are some pretty thick steaks, so you want to make sure that you give it as much time as possible so that when you do cook your food, you're not running into a very tough piece of meat, but rather something very tender and tasty, right? The meat will taste great by itself, but having all of this extra marinade, oh man, you'll be the life of the party. So I have here about 4 pounds worth of beef, and so stay tuned. I'll come back and show you what the results look like before we get things rocking and rolling. Thank you. Alright you guys, thanks for sticking with me. I want to show you the marinades that I have here. These guys have been marinating for about, I'd say about 4 hours now. So I have 2 different cuts of the ribeye. Some just are standard ribeye, and then I have ribeye cup. That's what it's called, C-U-P, cup. So once you get your pan nice and hot, that oil that I put in the marinade to do a really good job searing the bottom and top of your ribeye. And it's important that you get these things seared really nice, because we're going to bake it. Once we sear in the flavors, it tops and bottoms really nice, and the sides. So just for good measure, let's pour the rest of my marinade on top of it. And let the pan do the work. Now when searing with a cast iron skillet, it's important that you let the skillet do its job, right? If you try and pull that meat off, you'll notice it's stuck. But excuse me. But as it starts to cook, it will actually loosen the meat from the skillet, because the marinade or the end will be seared really nice and dark. And so therefore you'll know like when your meat is actually done. So stay tuned, I'll come back and show you right before I flip these guys and what it looks like once I get it flipped on over, and you can see and experience all the greatness yourself. Alright, so I've been searing the meat here for about 5 minutes now. I'll flip these things over, take a look at that. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So that's a good sear on the top side of that cup ribeye. And all that marinade that I have on there, the Worcestershire sauce, the soy sauce, all that steak seasoning is doing real good, and you can smell that real good here in the kitchen. Meanwhile, while the steak is searing, I want to show you a little something what I'm doing. So I'm going to be cooking about 4 pounds of these red red potatoes in this skillet, in this pot, with my steaks after I'm done searing these things. So I stabbed them all with forks all the way around here, and I'm going to throw some butter in on this shortly, and just kind of saute the steaks with this butter, as well as these garlic cloves. So make sure you use real butter, right? You got the sweet cream, real butter, and some garlic cloves. I'm going to melt it in there and just start sauteing this bad boy like crazy. Just let that guy melt for a little bit. You know what they say, butter makes everything taste better, so be generous with it. You want that butter to melt all through your pot. Depending on how many steaks you're doing, this is roughly 4 pounds of meat. So use your discretion, whether it be a half a stick, 3/4 stick, or a whole stick. You know, you really can't go wrong. It just adds more flavor to it. But it's important that you certainly don't want to skimp on that and have too little of butter. There you go, look at that. Just saute that up. Get that butter mixed in really well with all of your marinades. grab it and pour it up on top of the steak. Some of these steaks are still sticking a little bit to the bottom, so it tells me that the bottom side has not fully seared. Doesn't have a good sear yet, which is good because it's going to stay on this side anyways. I'm not going to flip them back over, but I do want to make sure I'm sauteing the heck out of these with the butter and the garlic, along with the marinade. Alright, stay tuned guys, I'll come back and show you more in just a little bit. Alright you guys, I want to show you now that I've been sauteing this for a little bit. One of our good neighbors came in clutch, got in some basil for us, or excuse me, rosemary. So I'm going to throw the rosemary in here. I'm going to save a little bit of that for the potatoes. And just do the same thing. Allow that rosemary to cook a little bit in your pot. And just keep on sauteing it with the garlic and butter. If you find yourself running a little low on juices, feel free to use some more butter. But you don't have to have it swimming in it. Just make sure that there's plenty of juices. You don't want to run dry. Alright, now that I got these things cooked nice and pretty the way I wanna, I'm gonna go ahead and put a lid on it and put this bad boy in the oven. Set for 375 degrees. I'll probably run it for about 15 to 20 minutes and check on it until I get an internal temperature of anywhere from 145 to 165, depending on how rare or well you like your steaks cooked. Stay tuned. I'll be back shortly. Alright you guys, so the next phase, while I have my steaks in the oven cooking, finishing up over there, I'm going to start on my potatoes that I have preparing. So I'm going to start off with a half a stick of butter and let that melt down. I'm going to throw a whole yellow onion sliced. We're going to saute those onions in with the butter. Oh yeah, sauteed onions, baby. That smells so good. Alright, after those things have been sauteed, I don't know, less than a minute. Alright, you don't need a whole lot before you have to move on. I'm going to throw 4 pounds of potatoes in here. And the remainder of the rosemary. Just break it up. Get that in there. Is that rosemary or dill? I don't know. It looks, I always forget the two, but both of them are fantastic. You can have rosemary potatoes as well as dill potatoes. So I mix it up just a little bit. Kind of get some butter mixed around in this pot with some onions on top of the potatoes that were on top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it up to a nice temperature, decent temperature, and then I'm going to seal it up and cook these for about 20 minutes while my steak is still in the oven cooking. Alright, we'll let those guys go for a little bit. Meanwhile, I'm also going to add in some salt and pepper. Don't be shy with your seasoning. All right, let that cook for a little bit of time while you got your meat cooking downstairs in the oven. Potatoes cooking upstairs on top. The nice thing about Dutch ovens are, it's like having another set of ovens in your house, right? You just basically are doing it on the stove top, but it is in a Dutch oven. So that's beautiful, right? And this is what's called a Dutch oven. If you pan out a little bit, you can actually see what that looks like. Nice big pot with a lid. Sometimes they're called camp ovens or Dutch ovens. Nice and easy. Also cast iron. So we'll let that thing go for about another 20 minutes or so. We'll come back and check on the potatoes for a nice side dish. Maybe I'll make up some mac and cheese as well, but we got some steak cooking along with some potatoes, right? Meat and potatoes. Boom! Stay tuned. I'll come back and see you guys in just a little bit, and we'll see how this goes. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please don't forget to subscribe, like my page, and comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this meal from this point forward, but also overall, right? I do appreciate your subscriptions, and please feel free to share the message or the video everywhere else. Thanks. Take care. All right, you guys. So the meat is just about done. I'm going to saute some mushrooms. So first I'm going to start off with another 1/4 cup of butter. Melt that onto another skillet. And throw about 1/2 of an onion sliced up pretty thin slices of onion. I let these guys saute for just a little bit with my butter. And then I'm going to add some mushrooms on here, because steak with mushrooms is so much better than steak without mushrooms. So let those go for just a little bit longer. I'm going to throw some mushrooms on here right now. We'll let these guys saute just a little longer. They'll start to brown and soften as they caramelize with that onion and butter. Make sure it's important you guys are using real butter when you're doing this stuff. Don't use margarine or some substitute stuff, right? Real butter is the way to go for sauteing your mushrooms. And if you do it with some onions, it's even better because it caramelizes all of that. And it brings out those liquids, those natural liquids within the onions, and then infuses it into those mushrooms as they soften. The mushrooms themselves will start to secrete some fluids as they get softer, and then just mixing it all together, having that come into the whole pot is just going to be incredible. Of course, you could do this with other pots, but if you have some cast iron skillets, I highly recommend it. So stay tuned. This is almost done. Stay tuned. I'll show you what the meat looks like as well as the potatoes. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. Stay tuned. I'll be back shortly. All right, you guys. So here's the end product. These are the ribeyes. These are probably medium well to well done. I was hoping for a medium rare, but I just got caught up on doing some other stuff. Here, these guys are the cup ribeyes, and these are the straight ribeyes. But if you guys are buying ribeye steak by itself or on a tomahawk, this is the kind of meat you're gonna get. Ribeye steak. Here are my sauteed mushrooms and onions. And if we come on over here, I have my
mac and cheese.
I have my dill russet potatoes. I mean, dill red potatoes. Rosemary red potatoes. Sauteed in mushrooms. I'm sorry, in onions and butter with rosemary, of course. Ooh, yeah. And mac and cheese. Now this is a Father's Day dinner, gourmet Father's Day dinner. Oh, can't wait to dig into this bad boy. There we go, you guys. Please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and share my video. Let me know if you have any additional tips that you would like to see me try next time. I appreciate cooking for you guys, cooking for my family. I always get a kick out of doing these videos for you guys, and I hope to make plenty more for you guys in the future. Take care. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate you guys.